All right, here we go. 75 kilograms. At this point, you should be so sick of W equals mg. 75 kilograms times 9.8 meters per second squared. So this T3, or the down arrow, is 735 newtons. Okay? So then we got to play our game where I'm just going to name that T1. I'm going to name that T2. So this is going to be, I'm going to put this 35 degree, let's put that 35 degree angle here. It's just kind of like a geometry. It probably has some name, and I don't know what the name is, so leave me alone. 48 goes there. Something about parallel lines and intersecting. I don't know. So T1 times the cosine of 35 is the x. T2 times the cosine of 48 is the other x. And I'm kind of running out of room here, so this isn't going to match up. This is T1 sine of 35. This is T2 sine of 48. All right, let's do our x first. Sum of the forces in the x direction equals 0. I have T1, which is negative because it's pointed to the left, cosine of 35 degrees, plus T2, positive, is pointed to the right, cosine of 48 equals 0. T2 equals T1 cosine of 35 divided by cosine of 48. I added this T1 cosine to both sides. That's why the cosine of 35 is up top. And then I had to get rid of this cosine of 48, so I divided both sides. It just kind of works better if you put it together like that. You do enough of these, you can kind of see it coming. Let's do sum of the forces in the y direction equals 0. I have a plus T1 sine of 35 plus T2 sine of 48 minus 730. $735 newtons equals 0. This T2 equals all of this. Wherever I see a T2, which is only right there, I'm going to replace it with that big box. Ready? T1 sine of 35 degrees plus another T1 cosine of 35 degrees divided by cosine of 48 degrees. Now, do not forget that sine of 48. And I'm going to throw that 735 to the other. The 735 to the other side. All right. So it's T1 times the sine of 35. Sine of 35 is 0.57. I'm going to write it 0.57 T1. Remember how I switch it at the end? I'll just do it in the beginning. So, all right, let's do this divided by this times that. Cosine of 35 equals 0.82 divided by cosine of 48 is 1.22 times the sine of 48. And I get 0.91 T1, and that equals 735 newtons. I'm going to add these two together, 0.57 plus 0.91, and I get 1.48 T1 equals 735 newtons. Let's divide both sides by 148. simple by over there. So my 735 divided by answer, it's already in my calculator. T1 equals 496.6 newtons. Yeah, that looks right. 496.6 newtons. And then, see this up here? I'm going to rewrite this over here. So T2 equals T1 times the cosine of 35 degrees divided by the cosine of 48 degrees. And I know T1 is 496.6 newtons times cosine of 35 divided by the cosine of 48. And I always do that cosine stuff first, so I'm going to go cosine 35, enter, divided by cosine of 48, enter. And now I'll just multiply that by 1 point. What am I even talking about? 496.6. And I get T2 from up here equaling 607.9 newtons. 607.9 newtons. Those aren't so bad. Woo woo. Woo woo.